I want to take you back to when President Trump did a actual press conference with Vladimir Putin. If you remember, it was in Helsinki. And if you remember, at the time, there was questions about what Russia had done in the election. And if you remember, there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Vladimir Putin gave President Trump a soccer ball. People thought the soccer ball was like bugged. I mean, there was crazy stuff going on at the time. But President Trump got absolutely annihilated after Helsinki about his language, and that people thought he wasn't tough enough on Vladimir Putin. He didn't stand up. He didn't call him out. He didn't. You can go back and remember the coverage.
I actually just did the Google search of it, and it was a MSNBC slaughterfest. You know, because if you do Google, all you get is the liberal outlets and all the stuff that's corporately owned. And it was one after another. What a disgrace! Terrible language by a terrible president. All the headlines were brutal.
Yeah, he didn't call him out. He wasn't strong enough in his language. He didn't. He was too willing to run cover for him on that one question. That he was. So it was just a bloodbath after Helsinki, if you remember. He wasn't tough enough on Putin. It was all about his language. So then, if you remember, I don't know if Joe Biden was sworn in yet. It was in between the election and him being sworn in. He did a sit-down interview with, I believe, Norah O'Donnell or somebody from NBC. She was asked about Putin. He was asked about Putin. She asked him, and he said, he's a killer, if you remember, in the interview. Well, this might be the most stunning moment of the day for many levels. This could have been part of the crazy. This is crazier than the crazy town. But also, we have a question for the media here after we're done with a couple of these clips. But let's start with this one. Cut 12, he's asked the same exact question that Norah O'Donnell asked him. Roll that.
In a weekend interview, Vladimir Putin laughed at the suggestion that you had called him a killer. Is that still your belief, sir, that he is a killer? And I'll continue the trend if you don't mind of asking a second question. Do you believe if he does agree to cooperate, then what kind of a challenge do you find yourself in? How would you ever trust him? And if Ronald Reagan said trust but verify, what do you say to Vladimir Putin?
To answer the first question, I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is, I believe he has in the past essentially acknowledged that he was, there are certain things that he would do or did do. But look, when I was asked that question on air, I answered it honestly. But it's not much of a, I don't think it matters a whole lot in terms of this next meeting we're about to have. The second question was, I'd verify first and then trust. In other words, everything would have to be shown to be actually occurring. It's not about, trusting. It's about agreeing. You know, when you write treaties with your adversaries, you don't say, I trust you. You say, this is what I expect. And if you violate the agreement you made, then the treaty's off, the agreement's off. And I'm hoping that that President Putin concludes that there is some interest in terms of his own interest in changing the perception that the world has of him in terms of whether or not he will engage in behavior that's more consistent with what is considered to be appropriate behavior for head of state.
Okay.
Holy cow! What a word
So how do you
salad.
feel about how do you feel about this meeting now going in? Now where is the media reporting on the world stage here? Not obviously not standing next to him yet, and they're not going to do a press conference. Biden's choice. Where is the media's outrage at that language, which is no language, which is nothing? That's. I think there's about 15 seconds in there where he literally says nothing.